How's it going, everybody? My name is Snazzy Patty, and today we're checking out a video by Pack Vibes. This video is called 7 Animals That Should Be Apex Predators But Aren't. By the thumbnail there, we had the panda and the cheetah. I can tell you right now, the panda should not be an apex predator. It has way too many flaws with its build. But anyways, without further ado, as always, the original video is linked down in the description below. Go check that out, and we're just going to lock in.
Land. The animal built more purely for hunting, the fastest predator on land. The animal built more purely for hunting than almost anything else alive can lose up to half its kills before it gets to eat. Not because it failed to hunt, because something bigger walks over afterwards and takes the food. That is the cheetah, and the cheetah is on this list. 7 animals, every single one of them carries genuine predator credentials: the size, the weapons, the evolutionary lineage, the biological toolkit. And every single one of them failed to cross the line into true apex status. Not because evolution made a mistake exactly, but because evolution doesn't optimize for dominance, it optimizes for survival. And those two things are not the same.
Yeah, if the territory which the animal already lives in already has, multiple apex predators top tier at the, food pyramid, there's nowhere for it to fit in the niche where it will have a reliable source of food. There's just too much competition. So it's going to have to be in that middle tier, lower tier type of hunter where it gets the smaller animals or has to use different, strategies, less common, unorthodox strategies to take down its prey and get food itself.
Let's start with the most famous myth in the northern wilderness: the wolverine, roughly 18 kilograms.
Oh yeah, no. It's literally just the size. If it was the size of a bear or even like a dog, like a big dog, like a cane corso or something like that, it would be top tier.
Dog. Folklore across North America and Scandinavia has built this animal into something close to a demon. Early naturalists wrote as established fact that wolverines could chase 2 or 3 bears off a kill simultaneously, that they could bring down prey 10 times their own weight, that they destroyed cabins out of spite. Researchers Howard Golden and Mike Harrington at the Alaska Department of Fish and Game decided to test that legend with GPS collar data on 18 wolverines, and what they found was considerably less cinematic.
Yeah, no, they're way too overhyped. Like wolverines and any of those types of animals. I forgot what the other one was. I think it's the badger, the honey badger. They're both overhyped when it comes, like, they're deadly, don't get me wrong. They got balls. They got balls to steal. I will 100% agree with that. But at the end of the day, they just don't have the size, man. If any animal like isn't intimidated and they just wanted to, they could just send it flying with a, like a lion wanted to, with its big ass paw could just pick it up and swoop it.
Wolverines are primarily scavengers. In the winter and early spring, most of their food is carrion. They locate much of that carrion by following wolf trails and then feeding on what the wolf pack left behind. Golden put it directly: the reputation is, in his words, quote, way overblown. When wolves move into a wolverine's territory, the wolverine doesn't stand its ground. It often abandons the area entirely. Wolves are, in fact, the wolverine's most important natural predator. The animal folklore crowned as the supreme loner of the boreal wilderness is, in ecological terms, a mesopredator that defers to wolves and steals their leftovers. It is genuinely impressive, covering enormous ranges, surviving conditions that would kill most mammals, occasionally taking prey well above its weight class when the opportunity arises. But the mythology, that's a story humans wrote. The data wrote a different one. Now, across the Atlantic, deep in the wetlands of sub-Saharan Africa, we find something far stranger: an animal that kills an estimated 500 people in Africa every year.
Yeah, it is an apex. Hippo is an apex. It's just not a predator. I don't know if that should count. I mean, should it? Because no, I mean, by the title's definition, 7 animals that aren't, apex predator, or, should be apex predators but aren't. I mean, it should be, it is, but it's just not a predator. It's got the teeth for it.
Force of 1,800 pounds per square inch, stronger than a polar bear, stronger than a saltwater crocodile, considerably stronger than a gorilla, charges at up to 30 miles an hour. In a direct encounter, a human has roughly an 87% chance of a fatality.
Damn.
And it eats almost exclusively grass. The hippopotamus has never hunted a single meal in its life. Its stomach anatomy lacks the adaptations for carnivory entirely. When hippos are occasionally filmed eating carrion, which happens rarely, Researchers attribute it to nutritional deficiency or aberrant behavior. The aggression is territorial, the lethality is defensive. Crocodiles sharing the same waterways are frequent targets not because hippos hunt them, but because hippos simply can't tolerate their presence. All of that physiological power, an armored body, 1800 psi of crushing force, a charge faster than most humans can sprint, exists in an animal that has never once used it to kill for food. The most dangerous large mammal in Africa is technically a grazer. But here's where the list gets genuinely strange. Because the next animal on it is not dangerous at all. It is, in fact, almost helpless, and it weighs more than a rhinoceros. The ocean sunfish, mola mola, is
Oh,
the
this
heaviest bony fish
thing.
on Earth. The record specimen found dead near the Azores in 2021 weighed 2,744 kilograms. It had almost
I don't
certainly
know
been
what that
killed
is.
by
I'm
a
an
ship's
American.
wake. That is how the heaviest bony fish ever recorded died. It got in the way of a boat. Mola mola began life as eggs the size of a popcorn kernel. They grow to outweigh every great white shark alive. And along the way, they accumulate problems at a scale that is almost comedic. They have no conventional tail fin. Their swimming is slow and laborious. They dive to cold, deep water to feed on jellyfish, and then must spend extended periods floating at the surface to warm their bodies back up afterward. Marine biologist Dr. Tierney Ties describes them, quote, like a big solar panel. That surface time is when boat strikes and gill nets kill them. Plastic bags near the surface look identical to jellyfish from below, and once ingested, the plastic clogs their.
So they're just really fucked from every side of nature, man. Why do animals get like this? Same with the polar bears. I just don't understand why things evolve in certain way. Like, I get that they don't ever stop and they stay that way because for some reason they don't have a need to, because they're surviving. They've been around for a long time, and their strategy's working. Technically, they keep having offspring. They're continuing the gene pool. That's what our purpose is at the scientific level. But they could do so much better. Why did they adapt these like horrible traits in the first place? Why did they get those?
Digestive system. Researchers have documented over 40 species of parasite living on and inside mola mola. Some of those parasites have parasites of their own. They need seabirds and smaller fish to pick their skin clean. They are listed as vulnerable by the IUCN, population declining.
Oh, never
The
mind.
world's heaviest bony fish, built to a scale that should be intimidating, has become a case study in catastrophic vulnerability. Nearly everything about the ocean is trying to kill it, and it has almost no way to fight back. That vulnerability in something enormous is striking, but nothing on this list captures the idea of squandered potential quite like what comes next. In 2019, researchers at the University of Sydney and the Chinese
There we
Academy of
go.
Sciences
Pandas.
published a study in Current Biology. The title of the paper was direct. Giant pandas are macronutritional carnivores. The giant panda is classified in the order Carnivora. It has the gut anatomy of a carnivore, short digestive tract, fast food transit times, carnivore-grade enzymes. The study found that the macronutrient ratios the panda absorbs from bamboo closely mirrored the protein to fat to carbohydrate profile of hypercarnivores, animals that derive more than 70% of their energy from meat. About half the energy a panda absorbs comes from protein.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Pandas are cute. Okay, cool. But they are just so fucking stupid. All right, let me go on a rant real quick. All right. We're almost done with this video. We're about halfway through. So I'm going to go on a little rant. All right. What was Mother Nature thinking while making the panda? They could have been so fucking cool, right? And they're cute, but that does nothing in nature. They're fucking useless. They can't even procreate properly. In zoos, they have to like force them and help them, get it on so they can have a baby because they're just so dumb. Not only that, but they gave them like a literally their junk is just too small for it to work properly. Like it's pathetic. Like I'm not trying to diss on them like that, but Mother Nature really just doesn't like pandas, and I don't understand why. And yeah, again, why do they, if they have a gut that's designed for meat, why do they eat only bamboo? That I never understood.
That's consistent with wolves and feral cats. Its 11.5 million year old ancestor, Cretzoiarctos beatrix, fossils described in a 2024 paper from a site in Germany, had tooth wear patterns identical to a modern brown bear. Mixed omnivorous diet, entirely unremarkable biologically. The switch.
Not to mention, aren't they like notoriously like horrible parents, constantly letting their kids get killed? and like eating their kids or like hurting their kids or whatever. Like I definitely have heard that before somewhere. I don't know why they are, but they're bad parents. I know that for a fact.
Switch to bamboo happened somewhere between 2 and 2.4 million years ago. And because bamboo's protein content happens to approximate the macronutrient ratios of animal prey, the panda's gut needed surprisingly little molecular modification.
Look at, they're
One
just
researcher
dumb.
described it as having, quote, dipped 2 feet in the pool of herbivory, but not taken the plunge. The cost is severe. The panda digests only about 20% of bamboo's dry matter. It must eat between 12 and 38 kilograms of it every single day. It needs at least 2 bamboo species in its habitat because bamboo mass flowers and dies on synchronized cycles. And when that happens, a panda with only 1 species available starves. A bear-sized animal with the digestive system of a wolf, spending 12 hours a day eating the food it barely absorbs. Now we go back, much further back, to a creature whose extinction might be the most haunting story on this entire list.
Oh my god, I was just gonna say, man, at some point a sloth bred with a panda, and that's why they are so horrible at surviving. But the sloth is one of the biggest downfalls in nature, man.
At White Sands National Park in New Mexico, fossilized
If that's what we're about to be talking about.
lakeside sediment preserve a scene from roughly 1,200 years ago.
Them giant
Ground sloth
sloths,
walking
yep.
across open ground, and inside its footprints, appearing one after another, a set of human tracks, following it step for step. The giant ground sloth could reach 4 tons, the size of a large bull elephant. It stood 3.5 meters tall. Its claws were enormous, powerful enough that the saber-toothed cat is thought to have avoided it. And beneath its skin, it carried dermal ossicles, small bones embedded in the hide itself, functioning something like chainmail. It was, by any reasonable...
Look at that back shoulder muscle. Like, that is insane. This thigh muscle is like, wow. It looks like armor plating or like a football pattern, honestly.
One of the most physically formidable animals that has ever walked the Americas. Early humans hunted them anyway. The only
That's just because we're built
site in
different.
the Americas is at Campo Laborde in Argentina, where a single ground sloth was butchered at the edge of a swamp around 12,600 years ago. And what makes this story truly extraordinary is the timeline of what came next. Ground sloths vanished from the American mainland around 11,700 years ago, simultaneous with mammoths, woolly rhinos, and saber-toothed cats. But on Caribbean islands, where humans arrived later, they survived another 5,000 to 6,000 years. The last confirmed ground sloth in Cuba persisted until somewhere between 2819 and 2660 BCE. That's roughly the era
How do we
of
know this?
pyramid construction in ancient Egypt. And if that story disturbs you, the next one should too. For approximately 20 million years, longer than the entire genus Homo has existed, one animal was the dominant predator in every ocean on Earth. Megalodon, up to 15 to 20 meters long, estimated food intake of over 1,000 kilograms per day. Teeth the size of a human hand, fossils recovered from every ocean on the planet. It went extinct around 3.5 million years ago. Not to a larger predator. There was no larger predator. Researcher Robert Bose...
But it was the apex predator at the time. What is this doing on the list? This is just... I'm confused now.
Of the College of Charleston places the highest likelihood of extinction at approximately 3.5 million years ago, driven by a convergence of pressures. Ocean cooling at the Miocene-Pliocene boundary, the collapse of the medium-sized baleen whale populations that formed Megalodon's primary prey, and competition from a faster, more adaptable animal, the great white shark. The great white evolved serrated teeth roughly 5 to 6 million years ago and had established a worldwide distribution by around 4 million years ago. And it could pursue a wider range of prey sizes. It operated across more varied ocean conditions. As Megalodon's prey base declined and its preferred coastal habitat shrank, the great white filled the space it left. The fossil record shows that wherever Megalodon disappeared, great white populations expanded. Paleontologists also note that the absence of Megalodon likely allowed surviving baleen whale lineages to trend toward the massive size we see in blue whales today. They were constrained for millions of years by Megalodon's predation and freed by its extinction.
But again, the Megalodon was an apex predator at its time. And for a long, long fucking time. All because it eventually died out because of, things it couldn't control. It had nothing to do with its hunting or anything like that. It just didn't have enough time to adapt.
Which brings us to the animal at the very top of this list. And this one is different because the animal in question is not extinct. It's alive, it's hunting right now, and in high competition regions, nearly half the time, it will lose what it caught before it gets to eat. The cheetah. Everything about the cheetah is a trade off. Sprint speed of 93 to 114 kilometers per hour, faster than any other land animal. To reach that speed, the skull became lightweight and narrow. The sagittal crest, the bony ridge that...
Yeah, it put all of its points into being a speedster, and because of that, it lacks power, intimidation, size, pretty much everything else you need to compete as a top tier predator.
anchors the jaw muscles, is poorly developed. The result, a bite force of approximately 470 pounds per square inch. A jaguar generates around 1350 psi. A lion considerably more. The cheetah's bite is the weakest of all large cats, and it is directly weak because of the same anatomy that makes it so fast. The claws are semi-retractable, better traction for sprinting, but a cheetah can't grip prey the way a leopard or a lion can, which means struggling prey is harder to hold. After a sprint of 200 to 500 meters, the animal is exhausted, heart rate dangerously elevated, body temperature near the limit of what the tissue can tolerate. It needs 15 to 30 minutes of recovery before it can eat. And that recovery window is when the losses happen.
Yeah, that's its biggest downfall ever. Like, why does it need... I mean, I get why it needs that, and I understand why. But why did they build it so much for speed? It wasn't like speed was an issue when it comes to, compete or competition in the African, meta, Like, I understand if it wants to be faster than the other animals and it wants that to be its, thing, right? But it only has to be faster than the other predators and then put some other, strategy and skills into other, types of ways to hunt, whether that's ambush or pure size and strength.
Lions, hyenas, leopards, even coordinated groups of vultures locate a cheetah kill and take it. In areas with high predator density, cheetahs lose a massive portion of their kills this way. A hunting success rate of 25 to 40%, totally respectable by big cat standards, becomes considerably less impressive once post-hunt theft is factored in.
Yep. But hey man, that was a great video. But again, like I said, it can be a fast animal. It can be a speedster or want to be a fast build or whatever animal. But it has to not... It doesn't need to be that fast, right? I just think it was too extreme, going into that level of fast where your body can physically, barely handle it. But anyways, man, that was a great video. This was by Pack Vibes. Man, definitely make sure to go check them out. Show some support if you enjoyed. Let me know what else you want to see me watch. Make sure to let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, post notifications, do all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, stay snazzy, stay blessed.